from that during the stream. All right, let's go, everyone. Get right into this weather coverage. Thank you so much for being here with me. Whenever you're watching this, whether it is Sunday, May 5th, as I'm doing this live with you, whether you're watching this later in the evening, whether you're watching this Monday, I don't care when it is, please put those zip codes, those questions you got down in the comments, the chat, whatever you want to call it, because that's going to be really important so I can answer your questions, get everybody the significant severe weather information that they need to know here. If I can get a thumbs up in the chat that you can hear me, that would be great. If you can hit the like button to help this stream out and support it with the algorithm, get it out to more people, that would really help me out as well. So please do all of that for me. And I really appreciate those of you who are joining me here. We've got Sabrina, Severe Storm Filmer. We've got SLDS. We've got How Close Are We? That Random Guy, Mr. Tanks. And then we've also got How Close Are We? Once again, see your comments. So got a lot of different comments here at this point. Got a thumbs up in the chat. Sounds good. If you have any issues hearing me, have any issues with lag, any problems throughout the stream, just let me know. And this is going to be a forecasting stream. Let's get right into it and take a look at the severe weather outlook that we've got here as we progress towards our Monday, May 6th of 2024 here. Obviously, we've had a lot of severe weather lately, and really the outlined area has been this area a very high amount. And unfortunately, we're looking back at the new latest outlook here, and it is looking just like from the Storm Prediction Center that we're going to be seeing the worst severe weather here from southeastern parts of Nebraska all the way down here to southern parts of Oklahoma, particularly from Wichita, Kansas, down to Oklahoma City. Obviously, a very heavy population center really in this risk area. In fact, if we take a look at this on the Storm Prediction Center's graphic here, look at this. Let's go back on over to this panel over here and look at how many people are actually in this risk area. The moderate risk area is affecting 2 million people. It's a very small moderate risk area, but it is impacting 2 million people. And of course, even obviously small towns that are in this zone can be significantly impacted by the potential for severe weather that we've got coming up Monday, May 6th of 2024 here. So again, I'll get to your questions here towards the end of the stream. You can continue to drop those zip codes down in the chat, and I'll answer, everything you got down there. Once we get about 10, 15 minutes in, that's when I'll start opening up for questions. But I want to break this down for you first. And really, we're going to kind of get into the simple side of things and just take a look at the outlook, as I mentioned here, from the Storm Prediction Center. We'll look at my O&W severe scale momentarily. This is what we've got, okay? From southwestern parts of Iowa back down here to north central Texas, I want everybody in this zone to be especially prepared. But even if you're not in this zone right here where you're going to be outlined for the potential of strong tornadoes tomorrow for our Monday here, we're looking at really this big region right in here in particular, where we're going to have the potential for some wind gusts, especially right up in here, that could get near 70 to 80 miles per hour in caliber. That is some extreme wind gusts, really picking on up out of some of these storms, and we could even see some 85 mile per hour wind gusts at the high end. I really want everybody to be prepared for that end of the threats, because I really don't think that's something that people are quite as prepared for necessarily here through these regions. In fact, let's look at the threats, threat by threat here from the Storm Prediction Center. You're not going to notice much of a difference from the overall outlook and what we've got here in the tornado outlook from the Storm Prediction Center for our Monday here. As you can see, the risk for strong tornadoes is really prominent from right on that Nebraska-Kansas border in the southeastern part of Nebraska in particular, all the way back down there to really Wichita Falls, Texas, where locally we could see some violent long-track tornadoes that I think would really originate in this area here in particular. It's a little hard to see, but I'm circling it in red, right in the red outlined area from the Storm Prediction Center. Then those longer track tornadoes would more than likely progress towards the east and northeast here, could make it as far as parts of Missouri and Arkansas if supercell nature can be sustained with these storms. And if we go on over and take a look at the wind threats, again, this is something that's really significant. We've got a big 30% zone, 30% chance of damaging winds within 25 miles of a point here. In all of these red areas, 15% for the yellow. And then in the kind of the brownish shade, we've got 5% chance within 25 miles of a point. If you're in any of these zones, you need to be ready, have a severe weather plan in place as we head towards our Monday here, but especially in this zone right here, this is where we're going to have that local potential for some of the gusts to be maximized up there near that 80 to 85 mile per hour threshold. Obviously, even that, you're getting up there in that tornado strength, EF0 to EF1 tornado strength, and some of these damaging winds that could just come out of linear storms, not supercells, but like line segments of storms moving through this region. So you need to be ready for that, especially in western Missouri where the tornado threat is not quite as high, at least for now, and you've still got the potential for big wind. And I really think when we've got tornado outbreaks like this, people don't look at, the hail and the wind threat. So this is why I'm pointing this out. The potential for hail is 30 to 45% within 25 miles of a point from Grand Island, Nebraska, down here to Wichita Falls, Texas on our Monday. This does include that potential for excessively large hail from Wichita, Kansas, down to Oklahoma City there in Oklahoma. Some of this hail could be upwards of 3.5 inches in diameter. We could even see some 4 to 4.5 inch stones forming, starting right along this line here, just to the west of that red shaded area, and then moving through the red shaded area. We could even see some 2 to 3 inch stones try to approach Topeka, Kansas, down to Tulsa, Oklahoma. So this is going to be what we're really watching as we head through the afternoon and evening hours here of our Monday. Thank you so much to everybody who is joining me here on the stream. Really appreciate it if you hit that like button. That really helps me out here. 72 of you also drop those questions down in the chat. That will always support kind of the operation here as well. So let's go ahead and get right into the information here in terms of our timing here as we go towards late Monday. In fact, before we get into the timing, let's talk a little bit about ingredients. Let's go over to this screen here, and then here we go. Live maps from WeatherBell here, always free trial to them, right down there in the description. But let's take a look at what we've got going on. HRRR model, pull that up for the Central United States. Here we go, region, Central. Let's pull this on up. In terms of storm energy here as we head through our late Monday, I can already tell you it's going to be pretty high over this region, and look at how it really builds up as the afternoon goes on. If you can get supercells that can fire on off down here from southern Kansas down to north central Texas, these are going to be those really feisty ones with the potential for that really elevated tornado potential that could get going here. And really, I think even on up here towards southern Nebraska, that's where we'll have to watch some of the storm energy. Anything above the yellow shades on your screen is where you're really seeing significant storm energy for these cells that are going to develop in the late evening. And notice how that really lasts even through parts of especially Oklahoma here as we head into the late evening. Look at that time on the left side of your screen. You can see as we progress towards, say, 11, 12 in the night here, Monday night going into early Tuesday, we're looking at a lot of storm energy here sitting especially over Oklahoma in joules per kilogram. Your tornado parameter, it goes on a scale from 0 to 10. And I'm going to tell you, this is not a good sign that we're seeing here on the HRRR model, our very trusty short-range model, right in those zones, especially of western Oklahoma, where the tornado threat is being shown from the Storm Prediction Center, obviously right in here. That's kind of that highest zone. Look at some of how the overlap of this tornado ingredient parameter here. Notice how that's going to be overlapping with where we're likely going to be seeing a dry line moving east. We're going to be seeing storms firing right through here. We could really see some long track tornadoes move from parts of Kansas and Oklahoma eastward. And these could be on the ground for over an hour based on the look of what we're seeing here. And a lot of the wording from the Storm Prediction Center saying that same thing. Dew points off the charts. When you look for severe weather, these dew points all the way on up here to really this line right here are fairly sufficient for severe storms, okay? 60s and 70s, those are when you're getting into that off-the-charts territory for severe weather. And as we had 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the evening here on our Monday, May 6th, this zone right here is just going to be, I hate to say it, that it looks like extreme levels of moisture moving north. And again, where the overlap of all the threats is going to occur, that's going to be right there. The Storm Prediction Center really has hit the nail on the head, I think, with where they've put that moderate risk outline. We could even get a local high risk here as we get closer if it continues to trend like this. Now let's go back on over to Radar Omega and talk a little bit about some of the timing here as we head through the late time frame here of our Monday. Continue to put those questions in the chat and hit the like button on the stream if you're just now joining me. I appreciate everybody who is here. Here we go. Let's play this on out. Look at how as we go through the morning hour, you can really see around, say, note that the times on my screen, by the way, are in Eastern time, which is my time zone. So Central Time, subtract an hour. So this is 11 a.m. Central Time. This boundary right here, this is going to be where storms are going to begin to fire as we head into the afternoon, give or take. This is a model. Is it 100% accurate? No. Is it going to give us a good look at what's probably going to happen and be fairly in line with Storm Prediction Center outlooks? Yes. Let's play this out as we head through the afternoon. The first initiation of storms looks like it's going to be likely on up here for Nebraska, for parts of Kansas, and this can begin right around the noon hour and just thereafter here from North Platte down to Dodge City especially. This zone right here I think is where we're going to see that initial clustering of some of these storms, and the tornado threat doesn't look excessive out of these. We could certainly see, especially the further south you go though, a locally strong tornado, especially through Hays, Kansas, down to Dodge City region. We're certainly looking at the potential for an intense tornado or two, not out of the question, even as early as the mid-afternoon hours. So you need to know the lowest, most interior room of if you're at work during this afternoon time frame of your Monday here, you need to know where that lowest, most interior room of that structure is. If you're in your home, know the lowest, most interior room there. If you're going to be driving, of course, hopefully you're not going to be driving around this time, 1, 2, 3 in the afternoon in some of these zones. Really just know, keep track with the National Weather Service, keep track with your latest authorities as well. See what they're saying here for the timing as we get closer to this event. Ask me questions after the stream as well if you need to, because really that's going to be where you kind of get the answers for when you need to be weather aware on the roads as well. I think the initiation of some of our first dangerous storms in the moderate risk area from the Storm Prediction Center, that's going to be as we head 3, 4, 5 o'clock Central Time based on this current guidance, okay? So from Hutchinson there in Kansas down to Lawton, Oklahoma. This just does not look good. I mean, this isn't a good sign at all. And notice the discrete nature to some of these cells down here, starting around Wichita, going towards the south. Notice how they're more of a line the further north you go, which is why still the scattered damaging wind and hail potential, which is nothing to joke about, that's where that will be maximized up here. Especially even in northern Kansas, I think we're going to have a little less of a tornado threat, still some scattered tornado potential, but the more numerous potential for tornado warnings, again, that's going to be right in here. Look at how that evolves here as we head through the evening hours. And what I really want to point out on this model before we go and look at some of the other areas here and answer some questions, look at how this cell, I mean, we're not looking at exact locations, never look at exact locations of cells, but right here along this dry line here, these storms here, all of these are discrete. Right in that moderate risk zone, and if we get another cell down here closer to Lawton, Oklahoma, it's definitely going to be discrete. The storms are going to be more spread apart the further south you go, and that's important because these storms are going to have more independent energy to tap into the further south they are. So all the way down here to Wichita Falls, Texas, if you can get a storm down here, even though this model doesn't necessarily show anything huge at this time, if you get a storm this far south, it could definitely produce a brief tornado, maybe even a stronger or more long-track tornado if we can see the environment sustain. I definitely think, again, though, the Storm Prediction Center on the ball with this outlook, and notice how, especially, at least this model, again, don't focus on exact locations, but focus on the way these cells act and interact with each other here. This cell just northwest of Oklahoma City. This is, again, let's look at the time here. And this is at 7 p.m. Eastern, so 6 p.m. Central Time. This cell right here, northwest of Oklahoma City, look at how it progresses eastward, staying in that supercell look. Again, I mean, this is a consistent long-track supercell beginning around 5, 6 o'clock, down right there, just north of Elk City, Oklahoma, in this particular model run. And it continues all the way until northeast Oklahoma. You see that before dying out. These are the kinds of cells where you could get that intense, that long-track tornado. These are the kinds of cells where I worry about maybe even the Storm Prediction Center expanding this moderate risk a little bit further east as we head into the day tomorrow. And again, further north up here where we're going to have the lines of storms, we're also going to be watching the localized potential for some extremely damaging winds. And look at how this line picks up as the evening rolls on. Not only will we have the potential for some at least brief tornadoes along this line, 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening pushing through eastern parts of Nebraska, eastern parts of Kansas. We've got this line at 70 to 75 mile per hour wind gusts, probably at least in isolated fashion along this, a lot more, at least 40 to 60 mile an hour gusts. Kansas City, Missouri, you could get impacted probably as we head through the late evening hours. And this cluster here, just nothing to freaking joke about, I'm going to be honest with you, okay? Everybody here, even some of these cells, look at how they're still remaining discrete into the late evening down here over southeast Kansas and northeast Oklahoma. Could even have some training of those supercells moving over the same areas. So this is something really concerning here, and I just don't like the look of this pattern. And again, some 80 to 90 mile an hour wind gusts possible in this zone as these storms continue to progress towards the east. Some very big hail really in this zone here. This is where we're watching, or let's circle this again. This area here is where we're watching the local potential for at least some 3 to 4 inch hailstones in isolated fashion. So this is going to be an intense day Monday, more than likely, in at least a regional zone. I mean, this isn't an expansive risk, but I think even in these slight risk areas up here, you got to be worried about some localized 70 mile an hour gusts, and that's something we're going to be kind of concerned about for Monday. Now we're going to answer some questions here in about 2 minutes now. I appreciate everybody and their patience with that. In fact, let me paste something down in the chat real quick while I'm here. Hit that like button for me. As well, if you're just now joining me. Let's pin this in the chat. Okay, there we go. I'll answer your questions as soon as possible. Best way to support. Yep, there we go. That's the message I want in the chat at this point. Here we go. Let's go do this now. Let's play or take a look at my O&W severe scale. This is the last thing I want to look out for Monday. We'll talk about other days if we have people interested in those, but right now we're mainly talking about Monday. We'll talk about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday a little later in the stream if time allows. Let's go on over here now to my O&W severe scale. There we go. Here's my scale for Monday. And for those of you who are new and joining me, because we've got almost 200 people on here, believe it or not, I've never had this many people on a stream. I appreciate those of you showing the support and subscribing to the channel right now. Here's the severe scale on screen, okay? 1, and this is my scale, it goes from 0 to 7. If you're in a 0, I'm not expecting severe weather. Does that mean you should trust it like your life depends on it? No, but the scale has proven to be fairly accurate in some of the recent events, and I like to use it and have continued to use it and incorporate it more on the channel. Here we go. I've made this level 1, meaning low certainty, but a few severe storms appearing possible. Level 2, isolated severe weather expected with likely a wind and hail-driven risk. Level 3, increased risk for a few severe storms with all hazards. And 3 is nothing to joke about. 4 especially, where we've got the scattered severe storms with some significant severe weather and the hatched risk likely. 5, a signal for dangerous severe storms with outbreak potential. 6 is severe weather is expected with a signal for a big wind, hail, or tornado event. And then 7 is the highest certainty for a tornado outbreak or long-lived derecho event. Let me put it this way. I've never used a 7 before. I do have a 6 out, though, okay? This is the highest I've ever put on the scale other than one other time here. I've got a 5 for really the damaging wind and hail potential as far northeast as parts of Iowa and Missouri. But you can see it's really there in that zone in southern Kansas, northern Oklahoma, and this could really even be extended a little bit, kind of expanded a little bit more. That's where I've got the highest risk for these cells. So let's read what I kind of typed up here in the little brief description on the top left. Multiple dangerous modes of severe weather are anticipated late Monday, and with damaging winds 70 to 85 miles per hour and hail of 4.5 inches, the ceiling threats, in addition to strong tornado potential in Kansas and Oklahoma. So again, all of this region right here, if you're really in the orange to the red to the deep red especially, we're looking at intense severe weather potential. Here we go. A broad area from eastern Nebraska to parts of Missouri to Arkansas should be most prepared. And again, the strong tornado threat's going to be maximized there. Parts of Kansas and Oklahoma. We might even see a local high risk issued from the Storm Prediction Center. Now, let's answer some of your questions because we've got 228 people on here now. This is crazy. I've never had this many people on a stream, as I just mentioned a second ago. Really flabbergasted by this. But let's take a look. Appreciate all the support. Let's read. I'm going to go back and answer the comments starting from the top, okay? So I'm not getting to your question immediately. Trust me, I'm looking through, and I'm going to read them and get to them as quickly as possible. Let's start. I see... Let's go all the way back up. High risk possible, certainly think so. Here we go. Let's see, 72404. 72404. We're going to start there. Let me pull. Okay, so you're in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Let's go on over to Radar Omega again and kind of show people these areas that I'm discussing, because chances are if there's someone watching in Jonesboro, Arkansas, there's also somebody watching nearby. You're not in the highest risk here for late Monday, I can tell you that. You're probably not going to be in the worst of concerns. If you get any storms, more than likely they're going to be during the end of the period, so late Monday night and really early Tuesday morning. Maybe some damaging winds and hail still accompanying these storms. As of now, tornado potential looks fairly low. Your risks will go up as we head towards Tuesday and Wednesday, though. In fact, let's take a look at those risk outlines. Just show you them from the Storm Prediction Center for now. And again, we'll talk about the other days a little bit more. those other days being Tuesday and Wednesday here a little bit more later on in the video. This stream, Jonesboro, notice a level 2 of 5 from the Storm Prediction Center, a slight risk, nothing to joke around with here as we head towards Tuesday. I really think the bigger day there in Jonesboro, Arkansas is going to be this risk outline where you could end up going enhanced in northeastern Arkansas as we head towards Wednesday, and then the threat will die down as we head towards Thursday. So really only ramping up day by day until we get to Wednesday there in Jonesboro, Arkansas. All right, that's the first zip code I got. Logan Miller was my next comment. 74019. 74019. Let's get that one in the chat. 74019. All right, we've got you there in Claremore, Oklahoma. Let's get that question answered for you. And I know you're probably thinking of tomorrow's threat. Other than, you'll still have a little bit of a threat as we linger around in the overlap here as we go towards Tuesday and Wednesday. But your main threat's really going to come, obviously, in the most immediate threat as we head towards the late Monday in that region. It looks with this timing, at least, like your best chance for storms is going to be probably during the later afternoon, heading into the evening. It looks like the evening's going to be your main time to watch out. This is the HRRR model, the one model that I'm looking at right now. If I go over to the NAM on my own end here just briefly, I just kind of want to see the comparison and the overlap of that model. Let me look at this real quick. Yeah, overall the timing's not too far different. I would really say probably the late evening hours is going to be your time to watch. So as we head, but really just around sundown and thereafter in northeast Oklahoma, that's going to be when the worst storms pick on up. And again, one of those longer track cells might be coming out of the moderate risk zone and heading in your direction. Really something you need to have a very attentive eye on for sure. And I really think that the Storm Prediction Center, if the models continue to trend like this, and NAM is not this aggressive, but if the HRRR and the NAM end up agreeing on this, we might end up with a moderate risk more like this and a little bit of a high risk somewhere in here. Again, this is going to be pretty regional where the highest tornado potential is, but it is going to be pretty intense where it is located. Let me go back. I've got a lot of comments here. Let me go back. I'm looking through. All right, I had Logan's. Answered that one. And send it again if I miss your question as well. We got the 72404. Let's move on now to 41169. 41169. Let's move on to that one now. Again, continue to put those in the chat if you've got those questions. Let's look at Russell, Kentucky. And again, your risk is not going to be tomorrow on Monday, but you stand to... I'll talk about your risk a little bit more again in depth later in the stream if time allows, but right now it is looking like your highest risk for severe weather. While there will be some on Tuesday, it's probably going to come with around late Tuesday, and then again here on Wednesday. Here's the Storm Prediction Center's outline. You're going to be on the fringe of it. Could include some tornado potential. The details are going to be ironed out a little bit more as we get closer to this event. Let's continue to look down. Could southern Indiana see a tornado outbreak also? I wouldn't rule that out as we head towards mainly Wednesday. I think Tuesday's a little bit more of a recovery day at this point. Wednesday, yeah, I certainly think we could see a stronger tornado outbreak in southern Indiana. We might end up with a broader enhancer somewhere in here. And in fact, let me just go ahead and briefly show you while I've got a couple questions to areas for the further northeast. Then we'll get back to the Monday threat. Here's my severe scale for Tuesday. I've got a 3 of 7. I've actually downgraded it here near the Ohio Valley for Tuesday. Look at what we've got as we go towards Wednesday. I've got the highest risk in this orange shaded area. Level 4 of 7. Again, nothing to play with. Significant severe storms being anticipated from eastern Oklahoma to central Kentucky right now. And I can justify that more later in the stream if we have time. But right now we're just kind of giving you the overview. And I'm mainly focusing on the Monday threats, understandably. So hopefully everybody kind of understands why I've got the Monday threat at the top of the priority threat risk. The priority list for now. Let's see what else we've got. HRRR keeps uptrending, certainly so. Could Indiana see strong tornadoes? That's a question I was just kind of answering there with someone else. Indiana is in a 2 of 5 risk. Yep, that's correct. Both Tuesday and Wednesday parts of Indiana a level 2 of 5 risk from the SPC Storm Prediction Center. Where's that? Just lost that comment. Okay. Got. What about Indiana? Just a second. Here we go. Now we've got it. I missed this one. So Indiana, yeah, I did that one. 74019 in Oklahoma. I did that one. I did northeastern Kentucky. All right, now we're moving on to 47331, and then we're going to do after 47331. We're going to talk about the next zip code, which is going to be 67052. 2. All right. I appreciate everybody's patience here. 47331. Connorsville, Indiana. Got a lot of people watching out of Indiana, it is evident. So we'll talk about that threat a little bit more in depth here momentarily. But again, in the eastern part of the state, it certainly looks more than likely like we're going to have a fairly considerable severe weather threat. Probably especially, not just Tuesday with this threat. We'll have to watch this. But it's really Wednesday when the threats increase there. Okay, I've missed some comments here. And if everybody will help me out by just kind of slowing the comments just temporarily while I answer a few more of these here, because we're just a little bit normally of a smaller channel, and we're just kind of trying to moderate the chat a little bit. So if I skip your comment, again, put it down in the chat again. But I've got 67052, that's up next, and then we're going to move on to some of the ones that I'm just now getting. Again, if I skip yours, it's not intentional. It's just because I'm trying to answer a lot of zip code comments down in the chat at this time. Let's go back here. Look at this. Wichita, Kansas. Yeah, right in the crosshairs of tomorrow's storms. I think your storms are going to move through right around the sundown time frame, give or take. So right through here, I mean, discrete supercells not out of the question. Intense supercells not out of the question. You really need to watch the potential for some intense storms capable of very large hail. Some of it could be near 3 to 4 inches in diameter in scattered fashion, or at least isolated fashion. Scattered, at least 1 to 2 inch hail. Then you've got the 70-plus mile-per-hour wind potential. You've also got some isolated intense tornadoes. Wichita, please be weather aware late tomorrow. Have a way to receive alerts. I can't stress that enough. 74006, that's the next one I'm seeing right now. So that's the one we're going to go to next. Bartlesville, Oklahoma. Yeah, you're on the eastern side of Oklahoma, and let me tell you, this is, by the way, everybody, if you're just now joining me, please hit that like button. It really helps me out and gives this weather information out to more people. But here's what I want to talk about. In northeast Oklahoma, I mean, any lingering cells are going to push into your area there as we head beyond probably the sundown time frame. As of this current guidance, can we see things change? Yes, but right now looks 7, 8, 9 o'clock at least for your highest threat late Monday here. So Bartlesville, Oklahoma region, want you most prepared probably around 7, 8, 9 o'clock Central Time, and thereafter really lingering through a lot of the evening in that region. In fact, let me turn this on over to the radar Omega now. There you go. Now you can see this on screen. 7, 8, 9 o'clock and thereafter, that's probably when the threat really picks up. Could you see storms earlier? Yes, but more unlikely than not. It really looks like if you're in Tulsa and there's some of those surrounding zones, if any of you who have just put a zip code in for Tulsa, the surrounding area, are watching this right now it's northeast Oklahoma. Probably the threats are going to come late in the evening after central and western Oklahoma gets it more towards the mid to late part of the afternoon and early evening. Oklahoma City's threats are going to be sometime around 5, 6, 7 o'clock and thereafter. And if we get any lingering discrete cells, those could persist as late as midnight. That's the problem. Multiple redevelopments of storms. That certainly is something I would be really concerned about here over this area. Okay. Let's see what we've got next. I think I did that one. 72064 is the next one I'm seeing right now. Let's do 72064. Hazen, Arkansas, thank you so much for joining me. Right now, you don't really have a threat on Monday, but I can go ahead and tell you the threat, if you get any isolated storms late Monday night, it's going to go into early Tuesday. Then your threats are going to increase Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon. I think especially Wednesday afternoon we could see a more broad risk for severe weather and maybe even an outbreak here over this area. So this is what we're going to have to watch. And again, I'll kind of justify that more, as I've been saying, later in the stream if we get the time here. But we're getting a lot of questions here in the chat consistently. So let's see what the next one is. Let's continue here. Just a second. All right, let's pull this one up. Okay, here we go. Let's get that next one up. All right, I've got 73080. 73080. And it looks like I've got a similar zip code, so this might include multiple areas. Purcell, Oklahoma. Yeah, right in the middle of the risk zone, and I hate to give that evil-sounding laugh and chuckle there, but or whatever you want to call that, but it's just not looking good, okay? I really want you to be extremely weather aware, and I don't want to laugh at anything here, but I just don't think things are going to be great here in the Oklahoma City area if we can get any discrete cells late Monday. I think that's going to be something we really have to track through this area, so please please be weather aware. It's going to be the worst of your storms are probably to the north, but if any storms fire in Purcell, it'll probably be around the sundown time frame, and they could be very intense. 73071. Again, I'm skipping probably some zip codes by accident here, so please put those back in the chat. Yeah, I'm probably going to get to most people who have already commented, and I'm going to go through and look for some. Yeah, Norman, Oklahoma, similar deal to Purcell, like I just talked about for you, that random guy. 64801 Joplin, Missouri. 64801 Joplin, Missouri. Let's get to that one. 64801 Joplin, Missouri. Gotcha. All right. There in western Missouri, your main threat's going to be driven by damaging winds that could exceed 70 miles per hour in some of these late evening storms. Notice how that line looks to be kind of in this curly Q, the backward C shape right here. Let's draw that with black so it's a little easier to see. There you go. Right there, some 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts possible out of this line. Those could even push eastward of town depending on how long this persists, but it certainly looks like ingredients are in place for intense severe weather during the middle of the night here, Monday night going into Tuesday, probably sometime around the midnight time frame, give or take. And some of these storms could produce, again, damaging winds, your main threat. Isolated tornadoes, which could maybe be strong in the southwestern part of the state. That's also, something we'll be tracking, and then also we'll be watching the potential for some extremely to excessively large hail in some of these zones there in the southwestern parts of Missouri that could be around 2 to 3 inches in diameter. All right, 60545. That's the next one I'm seeing. Again, if I've missed your comment, I can't stress it enough. Please put that down. If I've missed your zip code, again, if I've hit your zip code already, please don't spam it again down in the chat. But if I have not hit your zip code, I will get to it if you put it down there again. Here we go, Plano. 60545. Did I do that correctly? Yeah, you're not in the severe weather risk Monday. If you get any severe weather, it's probably not going to be Tuesday either. It's mostly going to be to your southeast Tuesday. Could isolated see some severe weather Tuesday. I lied. And then as we go towards Wednesday, mostly to your south. You should be okay there in northern Illinois, but we'll track it. Certainly at least be a little bit weather aware late Monday night as well if this Boeing 7 can continue heading your way into early Tuesday. 60545 833. Let's get over to that one. Galion, Ohio. That's what's popping up for me there. That's normally in the Mansfield area. That's where I normally answer your question from, since you're a normal viewer on my channel here. In that area of Ohio, you're going to be watching the threat mainly as we head towards Wednesday. Maybe some Tuesday, but especially Wednesday. Let's go back to that ONW severe scale and show you what's going on. Here we go. There it is, day by day. Right here, ONW severe scale. Monday, there's your threat. Again, it goes all the way up to a 6 there in parts of Oklahoma and Kansas. Tuesday, it goes all the way up to a 3 here in some parts of the Ohio Valley. Wednesday, we've got the 4 of 7 from eastern Oklahoma all the way to southwestern Ohio. So I want you to be ready for that there. So you're not in the main risk there in the Galion region of Ohio, but southwest Ohio especially is going to have to be on very high alert Tuesday, Wednesday. Derecho, I mean, I wouldn't rule that out, Severe Storm Filmer, but I don't know if that's going to go to your area of northeast Ohio that you normally comment to me from. All right, I've got 64801. 64801. And what I'm going to do here, since I'm getting so many zip codes, we're going to do, and I'm going to kind of cover, I'm going to do a broad area. So if you kind of know what city you're near, kind of get ready here. So if you live near Wichita, Kansas, get ready. If you live near Oklahoma City, get ready. I'm going to talk about each day or each hour for each of these zones in the major cities in just a second, okay? So hopefully that'll kind of help answer your zip code questions if you're talking about Monday here momentarily. Joplin, Missouri, you're going to be watching the storms into the middle of the night, Monday night going to early Tuesday. Damaging winds and a big hazard. Some could reach 75 miles an hour. Isolated big hail, as well as some potential for tornadoes. Let's see, 68136. Let's get that one real quick for Gretna, Nebraska. 68136. Let's hit you. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let's hit you with that up there in Omaha, Nebraska region. Omaha is not in the main threat as we head towards Monday, but we could certainly see some isolated severe weather, especially on the south side of town. Big hail and gusty wind is going to be your main threat up here. Tornadoes can't be ruled out, but if you get any storms, they're probably going to be just before midnight here in that area. Some of them could be discrete, but it looks right now more like a line segment activity, so some damaging winds, some hail, at least in scattered fashion, near 60 to 70 mile per hour for the wind. And then for the hail, we could isolate see some hailstones 2 to 3 inches in diameter in that area as well. I mentioned kind of what's going to end up occurring here in parts of Ohio. Let's go back on over to Radar Omega and show you again kind of what I was just talking about there with Gretna, Nebraska. Here's what we're looking at in Gretna, Nebraska. This is around the late evening time frame in the Omaha region as we head towards Monday. And again, back down there towards Joplin, your timing is in the middle of the evening and into the middle of the night, really. 45334, that is the last one I see zip code wise that I've just gotten here, and then we're just going to do the overall picture. That's what we're going to break down. So Jackson Center, Ohio, yeah, getting a lot of people out of the Ohio Valley right now commenting to me. Hit that like button if you're just now joining the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you want more occasional live stream content, as well as mostly some every other day video type of uploading. Here's what we've got: Western Ohio. Yeah, your threat's going to come at Tuesday, but then especially Wednesday. I think Wednesday you really need to watch out, especially in this corner of Ohio down here. We're probably going to have a severe weather outbreak possible in this zone here as we head towards the Wednesday time frame. You're welcome, Maria Hodges. Any threat for Middle Georgia? If we get one, burned coconut, if you get any threat there in Georgia, that's going to come as we head towards Thursday with some isolated scattered late day storms that could be severe. We'll probably have widespread storms, isolated scattered severe storms over the southeast Thursday and closer to the Gulf Coast. That's a good question. So again, you're welcome, Maria Hodges. 72701. Fayetteville, Arkansas. Yeah, in the northwestern part of Arkansas, we could still see some of those lingering supercells right there in that area. They're probably going to come in the middle of the night. In fact, maybe even the overnight hours here, late Monday night going into early Tuesday, May 7th. So in this area right here, you need to be prepared right around midnight and thereafter for the worst of the storms. Gusty, damaging winds, maybe a few lingering tornadoes, and some hail in this line of storms certainly possible. 49507, Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not going to talk about Michigan right now because that's not really in my line of sight for severe weather at this point. The southern part of the state, not out of the question, especially as we head towards Wednesday, but places like Grand Rapids, I really don't think you're going to be in the main threat zone. Let's look at that. We'll look at the outlook just really quickly for as we head towards Tuesday. Yeah, the outline really staying just south of you, maybe isolated damaging winds or hail, maybe again on Tuesday and Wednesday. That would be about it. I don't think the threats are going to be the biggest up there. I can, again, severe storm filmer, just Ohio's not like the main area that I'm talking about right now, okay? I hate to, I would normally get your comment, but with 400 people watching, I'm trying to get the information here out to the people, particularly in the line of danger for the next 24 to 48 hours, and then the next concern is talking about future outbreak potential. Carmel, Indiana, 46033. Again, this is probably going to be in that area that's not getting severe weather Monday, but again, yeah, we'll probably see a more elevated potential for storms Tuesday, and then especially Wednesday here. Again, here's my ONW severe scale. I'll pull it back up again for Wednesday. It goes on a 0 to 7 scale. Here's what that looks like on screen. There in parts of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, looking like a 3 to a 4 on the scale, so some significant severe weather possible. And notice how I said that uncertainty is the only reason that no level 5 of 7 risk has been issued quite yet, and initiated for Wednesday so far. Okay, let's get back over again. There's Monday's risk. I got a 5 to a 6 from southern Iowa back down to northern Oklahoma. You're good, severe storm filmer. I'm just trying to kind of get through a bunch of stuff here, and, I appreciate you understanding that. Let's get on over to... I want to do the timing. We're going to go region by region. So right now, if you can just briefly hold with the zip codes, and we're going to I'm probably going to answer a lot of your zip code questions here in the next moments here. Let's get into it from southern South Dakota to northern Texas, okay? Here we go. Let's talk about the timing. Storms are not going to initiate in the morning. I don't want anybody to be worried about the morning time frame on Monday, okay? So if you live anywhere in the risk outline, whether it's the marginal, the slight, the enhanced, the moderate from the Storm Prediction Center, as we head towards our Monday time frame here, don't want you to be worried about the morning storms. But once we get around 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that's when we're probably going to see the first initiation. So again, let's talk about some of these areas here. If you live in the North Platte, Nebraska area to Broken Bow down to Hays, Kansas, this is probably where we're going to see some of the initial storms. Your threat for storms, no matter how high or low it may be, your threat for storms in that region, if we get anything, is probably going to be during the early afternoon. That's also going to be the same for places like Dodge City in Kansas, maybe during the mid-afternoon as well. It's very questionable whether storms actually develop in scattered fashion along this area here. If they do, big hail, big wind, maybe some isolated tornadoes as well, especially towards the southern end of that. Once we get towards around 4 or 5 p.m., storms are going to be extending more than likely from, according to this model, again, it's not, something that you got to trust with your life, but this is certainly something good to look at, from O'Neill, Nebraska, through Great Bend, Kansas, and the central part of Kansas, back down to west central Oklahoma. The threat looking to pop on up around 4 to 5 p.m. Monday, according to this model. I'm looking at another model on my end. It doesn't really show it moving through those areas closer towards the late evening. So the early timing's a little more certain there. The later timing, not quite as much. I would be most prepared probably, if you're in any of this zone right here, you really need to be prepared all afternoon and into the evening just to be on the safer side. We'll know more again in the morning tomorrow. There will be a new model run that will come out, and I'm sure you can find other information on that. Weather.gov is always the site to check for your latest weather information. So let's look at this. Wichita, Kansas, down to Oklahoma City. These are the storms. They're probably going to be right around the sundown time frame, as I mentioned there. These are going to be those ones with the intense long-track tornado potential. Further north, we've at least got a lot of damaging winds, maybe some isolated tornadoes, and especially some large hail in this line here. More than likely, it's going to be impacting the eastern parts of these states sometime during the middle to the late part of the evening. So right after about 5, 6 o'clock, start being more weather aware in eastern Nebraska, eastern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma. I think the storms will mostly carry into the evening hours and towards the middle of the night in those zones, though. And then here we go, continuing to play this out. Just one model. Looks like curling really from southwest Iowa back down to northern Oklahoma. This is where the threat should be right as we head towards the middle of the night here. So heading 9, 10, 11 o'clock, this is where most models are kind of showing the overlap of these storms. Kansas City, Missouri, probably going to be sometime during the mid to late evening, heading towards the middle of the night. Northeast Oklahoma, you need to be really weather aware all night long because of these lingering cells that could last as late as 2, 3 a.m. in the morning Tuesday. Notice how the threat will probably shift to more damaging winds with maybe isolated tornadoes and hail along this line as this progresses eastward through Missouri late Monday night going into early Tuesday. And some of those damaging winds along this line could be quite fierce. And we could even see a slight risk extended maybe this way from the Storm Prediction Center if necessary because of that line. So let's see what we've got in the chat. I already got some additional comments here. Let's see what I can answer. Raymond, Illinois. Again, hopefully I got through a lot of the zip code areas or a bigger city near you. I just talked about those bigger cities, so now hopefully you kind of know what we've got with the timing for late Monday in the bigger cities and surrounding areas. Obviously, if you know the suburb, hopefully knowing like the city near you. And then I just covered your timing. In central Illinois, whatever's left of these storms will progress towards you in the overnight, Monday night going into early Tuesday. Couldn't rule out some severe storms again Tuesday, but again, especially Wednesday. I think Wednesday's going to be your main threat. Damaging winds early Tuesday possible. Maybe a round of storms late Tuesday. That's still very uncertain over this region. And then Wednesday, there's more certainty. Again, here's that outlook for Wednesday on screen now. This is why the Storm Prediction Center is outlining this area. I think you'll certainly be concerned about some significant storms Wednesday, because that's kind of when our next secondary outbreak may occur. Tuesday, not really sure if Tuesday is going to be an outbreak, but then Wednesday certainly is getting the look and feel of one already for the Ohio River Valley region. So that's kind of what I've got there. What's the word for Harrison, Arkansas? 72601 in Arkansas. Yeah, Arkansas, you're going to be watching the threats late tomorrow evening. It's going to be in the overnight hours, late Monday night going into Tuesday. Then we'll watch storms again, maybe Tuesday, but especially Wednesday afternoon again. So late Monday night going into Tuesday, and then probably our next biggest threat will be Wednesday with storms there. 64505 Missouri. 64505 Missouri. In the northwestern part of the state. level 3 of 5 for severe weather there. Damaging winds could exceed 70 to 80 miles per hour over this zone out of the late evening storms. That's a good area to talk about. I kind of almost jumped over the coverage a little bit there. Yeah, it's going to be around probably the late evening when we get the storms. Let's see, the HRRR showing around 8, 9, 10 o'clock. The NAM is showing about 10 o'clock as well. So that area probably be prepared right after the sun goes down and thereafter for damaging winds, isolated tornadoes, and especially some large hail. Oklahoma City, will they get tornadoes on Monday? I certainly think there will be some, not necessarily in the city, but surrounding the city. And again, even if one of these cells runs over rural areas, it can impact people's homes, even in rural zones. So even if this misses Wichita, even if this misses Oklahoma City, it could certainly hit these areas. But even if it misses them, these longer track supercells that are certainly possible, people's lives are being impacted. So that's why it's important to have sympathy as well after storms move through. I just want to point that out. Oklahoma City, will it get tornadoes Monday? That's what I just answered. My bad. Let's look. Parsons, Tennessee. Haven't gotten anything from Tennessee yet. 38363. Parsons, Tennessee. Western Tennessee. Yeah, you're not getting a risk Monday. You're not getting a risk Tuesday that's extremely high, but you could see some isolated severe storms in the area Tuesday, maybe especially just to your north and moving through. Still uncertain how bad it will be Tuesday, but I think Wednesday, that's when I've got you highlighted in a higher risk on my O&W personal severe weather scale. Wednesday is when I want you to be most weather aware, but just please check weather.gov in any of these areas, because I've, with all the questions I'm getting, I'm kind of just getting to a broad answer for everyone, and I want everybody to get a little bit more in-depth information if possible from their own end. Okay. Through Oklahoma, we've kind of already talked about the timing, so I'm going to skip over that. Iowa, let's talk about Iowa a little bit. I haven't talked about Iowa as much. 52349. So again, if I'm ignoring your zip code, it's because I've either just covered the information. You can go back. About 5 minutes ago, I just did regional timing and who's going to see what when. But I'm not trying to intentionally ignore you. I'm just trying to get to kind of different areas and talk about zones I haven't yet. Let's see. Iowa, the good news in that area of Iowa, you're not really in the risk on a Monday. Maybe some late evening and overnight storms, though, that could be briefly strong or severe into early Tuesday. With the risk on Tuesday, it's to your southeast. With the risk on Wednesday, it's to your southeast as well. So I think you're not in too bad a shape in Vinton, Iowa. Let's see, 46804. 46804. Now let's get rid of that outlook. There we go, 46804. Fort Wayne, Indiana, the northern part of Indiana, not in the worst of the risks. It's going to be southern Indiana that get the worst threats. But Fort Wayne, look at this. You're on the edge of Storm Prediction Center's outline for Wednesday. You'll probably get the potential for some isolated severe storms Tuesday as well. So be prepared both Tuesday and Wednesday for at least isolated severe activity. So again, I'm going to run this over one more time for Monday. I'm going to talk about Monday one more time here for everybody watching. And then I want to talk a little bit more about the setup overall. So we're kind of jumping away from the zip codes here for a minute. We'll see what additional questions I can, in areas I haven't talked about yet, that I can get to here momentarily. Thanks to everybody just now joining. I really appreciate if you hit that like button. Just help spread this weather information out to more people. And those of you subscribing as well, I really appreciate that. It means the world to me. Let's go back on over here through parts of Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma. Again, timing early afternoon in the western part of the region, late afternoon into the evening, especially for these longer track supercells here. And then wind threats increase up here, tornado threats continue down here into the middle part of the evening, and eventually towards midnight. We'll still be heading towards the northeast here. Our storms will continue to head towards the east as we head through parts of Iowa, Missouri. By the way, I apologize if I'm not calling you by name when I read your comment, though, but I am getting your zip codes. I have been here in the last minute. Thanks so much for the 390 of you watching. You're welcome, Joshua Miller. Des Moines, Iowa is a question I've got. Des Moines, you're going to be watching the storms in the middle of the night here. I'm on the frame right now. Middle of the night, Monday night going to early Tuesday. Damaging winds and hail are primary risks. Tornadoes shouldn't be as much of a concern, but still have a severe weather action plan just in case in the lowest, most interior room of your home or building. Let's see what else we've got. Lawrence, Kansas for Monday. Let's get on down here. almost positive I know where Lawrence normally is, but I'm drawing a blank right now, so let me just pull it up on my own end here. Lawrence, Kansas. Let's hit that comment here. Yeah, I think you're going to be watching a local strong tornado potential, but especially the potential for damaging winds and hail late in the evening Monday, probably into the middle of the night. That's when you're going to have the focal threat in this area right here. Damaging winds could exceed 70 miles per hour in some spots, some excessively large hail, 2+ inches in diameter, and it wouldn't rule out some strong tornadoes either. Severe weather thunderstorms, West Vicksburg area of Mississippi. If you get severe weather in Mississippi, that's not going to be probably the main concern, especially down there in the southwestern part of Mississippi, until Thursday. But I do have you, I believe, in a 2 or 3 of 7 on my ONW severe skill for Thursday for storms that could roll through there. I want to talk about, let's get some water first. I want to break down this. Okay. I've got this pulled up on my own end now. There we go. Alright, let's look at this. I want to do the time, kind of show you what's going on day by day here. We're heading towards the back end of the stream, so any additional questions, if you haven't already gotten your zip code question answered, please put it down there. Here we go again. Notice where the European model is showing the storms. You're welcome, Samuel Wilkinson. Late Monday night going into Tuesday. This is the area we're watching. It still looks like the area we're watching for the worst storms, and some of them are going to be particularly discrete and tornadic right in there. We've talked about that. But as we go towards Tuesday, whatever's left of those storms, the upper level piece of energy is sitting here. Whatever's left of those storms from Monday, they're going to swing eastward over the Great Lakes and over the Ohio Valley Tuesday. I've seen setups like this before where some of these lingering storms have gone severe along this boundary here. I don't foresee that happening Tuesday. Maybe some marginally severe wind or hail potential out of any lingering storms that can progress through Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky Tuesday afternoon. That's pretty unlikely, though. And the good news with these lingering storms, I know it's terrible that they're impacting these zones with severe weather the night before, but how this helps Tuesday and helps keep down significant severe weather from occurring on Tuesday is by the following. You've got this line of storms right here, right? Progresses to the east as the day goes on, as we head 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. As they continue heading to the east, notice how, in the middle of the afternoon you get rain. That cools the temperature down, so your temperature is going down, down, down over this whole region. Maybe some isolated severe storms sparking all the way along this boundary still, though, nonetheless. I just don't think Tuesday is going to be a big severe weather day, but because of that, if we get any big severe weather development late Tuesday, though, it is going to be over this zone and into early Wednesday. That's probably where it'll be, so Kentucky looking to be a bullseye for that, okay? That's Tuesday. Now let's break down Wednesday and going into Thursday. This is why I think it's a little bit more of an outbreak potential. You've got the new piece of energy swinging. Again, the whole upper level piece of energy sitting right here. Can't stress that enough. I can show you what the upper level piece of energy looks like by going right here. Again, these awesome maps are from WeatherBell. They're free trial in the description. Look at the upper level piece of energy. You see it swinging up there into the plains. It just sits there all freaking week long, man, until the very end of the week when it heads to the east. So while that upper level piece of energy sits there, notice how it begins actually departing, and late Wednesday going into early Thursday it heads eastward over the plains. That's why late Wednesday night going into Thursday, that's why this area is going to need to be on a especially high alert, I think, right in here. And again, here's my ONW severe scale for that time frame on screen now. It's going to be a little bit off screen, but you can see it. Up to a 4 there over a broad region, okay? Going back to this screen now. Any storms that we still have going on Thursday might see a local potential for some stronger storms closer to the coastline there in the mid-Atlantic, and then probably some more down here along this boundary as well. Overall, if you're south of this line, you're going to be watching severe storms Thursday afternoon, and it's just going to be very warm as well out ahead of this front, and that's going to be supporting the intense severe weather that we're likely to see in many areas, okay? So I hope that does a little bit more of a breakdown for you of that. In terms of the dew points, this is your moisture content that we're going to get as we head through a time here. This is, it's not looking great. The moisture is looking intense. And when I say it's not looking great, it's not looking good for those of you in these areas. Look at all that moisture over this area. Late Wednesday going into early Thursday, this area is probably going to be where we're watching the most potential for severe weather. In fact, if I pull that up real quick, I've got this somewhere. I don't know where I can pull it up, but the machine learning guidance is going crazy from Colorado State right here. Late Wednesday going to early Thursday. All right, let's answer a few more questions here. New sub, great coverage. Daytime Dreaming says, you are so welcome. Thanks so much for that. I appreciate that. 37101 is your zip code. I'll get to that in a second. I realize I missed a few just above you. 37075. 37075. All right, that's going to be in Tennessee as well. So hopefully this kind of helps answer your question as well, Daytime Dreaming in Tennessee. You said you're in Middle Tennessee. This is basically Middle Tennessee as well, so this will answer both of your questions. Wednesday is going to be your day of concern. Look at this moisture crashing down late Wednesday going in or early Thursday. A lot of this could be a nighttime threat. Look at where the European model is showing the lightning exploding Wednesday night. And it's a little uncertain where we get stuff, but it looks like Tuesday going into Wednesday we'll have some storms ongoing. These storms could actually tamper and hopefully hinder afternoon storm development that's intense. This is activity during the morning in Kentucky and Tennessee. Once we head towards the afternoon of Wednesday going into Thursday, this whole area needs to really watch out. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen. The GFS and the European model are off on timing of this. Just everybody in this zone needs to be highly weather aware late Wednesday night going into Thursday. But, I mean, even before that, it looks like you're going to, at least in Middle Tennessee, get a chance for some storms late Tuesday. And then again, probably, look at that. I mean, it looks like the whole state of Tennessee covered in big storms Wednesday late evening. And I think Tennessee has been one of those states that hasn't been talked about much with this outbreak. But I've got you in the deep red in the thumbnail because you are included in this. And I don't know, why people, and I'm getting to this. I mean, people are sitting on the Monday threat where they're saying, big outbreak, it's going to include Illinois, Indiana. I haven't heard much about Tennessee, if I'm being quite honest with you. I think Tennessee could be a very underrated state for this threat. Let's see. 67050. 67050. Garden Plain in Kansas. Let's get back to your threat. Yeah, I've been talking about this area all stream long, and it's looking like a pretty significant severe weather threat. In this end of Kansas, just west of Wichita, your storms are going to come during the mid to late evening on, this is your Monday here, and some of these could be supercells, not only damaging wind and hail potential, but at least some isolated intense tornadoes possible, especially the further south you go from there. So I want you to have a plan in place, lowest, most interior room of your home or building. If you're going to be traveling, know any family members traveling in this area. Even if you're not watching from this area and you know people in this area, please have them be weather aware late Monday. Let's see here. Brenda Wolf pretty much answered your question. Glad I did. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're having a great weekend, and I hope everybody is having a great weekend at that. Been a little bit, probably a harsh tone sounding as we've been throughout this stream, but I'm really very happy to see everybody on here, just trying to make sure I get to everybody's zip code as quickly as possible without being frantic. So hopefully everybody understands. Ankeny, Iowa. Let's get to you there. Ankeny, Iowa. And again, if I'm missing your zip code, put it down there. We'll get to a few more before we close anything out. We'll have some closing thoughts as well here in the next 10 minutes to 15 minutes. Ankeny, Iowa, your storms are going to be late tomorrow evening, probably in the middle of the night. So late Monday evening going to early Tuesday, and some damaging storms not out of the question there. Damaging winds and hail are going to be the primary threats in that area. Yeah, Osceola, Arkansas. I believe you're in the eastern part of the state. I normally talk about that area for you there. Your threat's going to be highest, I think, with the storms that we can get as we head towards Thursday. In fact, let me show you what that looks like there in that area. Here we are. Got to flip back over to this. Look at the lightning in that area. Wednesday night going into Thursday. If you get any severe storms Monday or Tuesday, it's going to be more isolated, but late Wednesday going into early Thursday, I think this is more outbreak worthy over this area. So if you don't, you're going to be kind of, the outbreak Monday is going to be in this overall zone, particularly here, assuming it occurs. More than likely it will, right? And then as we go towards Wednesday going into early Thursday, this is going to be the region we watch, and really even this far north. This is going to be the primary zone. 67337. Okay. Coffeyville, Kansas. Southeast Kansas, look at that. Looks like your storms are going to be probably in the late evening, heading into the middle of the night, late Wednesday going into early Thursday. Or no, whoa, I was just talking about Wednesday and Thursday, my bad. Late Monday going into early Tuesday. I promise, I really don't think I've messed up any dates until now, but I just messed that up. Late Monday going into Tuesday. Supercells, damaging hail, probably your highest threat. Gusty damaging winds could reach 70, 80 miles an hour. So again, destructive wind in all these storms here through this part of the risk zone. Again, I can pull up that damaging wind risk, and I think this is something that people really need to have that really keen eye on. I mean, the damaging wind risk is nothing to, just like look away from. All these areas in the black outline here with the dashed lines, this is where the Storm Prediction Center is thinking we could see some 75-mile-an-hour wind gusts or more. I mean, that's an expansive zone with probably maybe 10 million people. Let's see how many people are in that risk zone. About 8 million people. And it could expand for the significant winds out of these storms during the late evening Monday. If you're just now joining and I'm getting to your zip code and you feel like you like this content, I do some update streams. Occasionally, I also do videos here on the channel every, 2 or 3 days, breaking down events just like this, answering comments. I try to answer as many comments as possible. Considering I'm just one person, I'm doing really the best I can here to give you guys all that accurate weather content. So if you're new to the channel, I really encourage hitting that subscribe button if you want more updates in the future, sharing this out with family and friends, hitting the like button, all that fun stuff. Okay, let's go back on over to Radar Omega now. Okay, I just want to do an overall breakdown. Lincoln, Nebraska, I've got a comment for you. I've got a comment for Jet, Oklahoma as well. And I've got the St. Louis area. I'm going to cover all these in one. St. Louis, first of all, your biggest threat's probably going to come maybe a little bit of a threat Tuesday, but especially late Wednesday. Any lingering storms late Monday night going into early Tuesday will hit you there, but it would be mainly a damaging wind threat. I think your biggest risk for all severe hazards this week after this early Tuesday morning event will come as we head towards Wednesday afternoon and evening. But these could be no joke, maybe some 60-mile-an-hour gusts, some briefly damaging winds along this line early Tuesday morning there. So again, let me cover all of this here. So if you're in Oklahoma, if you're in Kansas, Nebraska, southwestern Iowa, western Missouri, northwestern Arkansas, I want you to listen up one more time here, because I've got probably some new people who weren't on the stream earlier. If I've missed your zip code, I sincerely apologize. I want to break this down in all of these areas. Let's do this again. The threat is going to increase. These are the damaging wind threats on your screen right now. In fact, let's just put the main risk zone back on the screen. Okay, and again, if you're in any of these areas for Monday, pay close attention now, because I'm not going to cover those individual zip codes in this area beyond this point. We've done a lot of the zip codes. But I want to show you in these zip codes what's going to be going on, okay? If you live in any of those of you who have commented in Lincoln, Nebraska, central Kansas, northern Oklahoma, wherever you are, first storms are going to be back off up here more than likely in the early to mid-afternoon. These could produce all hazards, but especially damaging wind and hail. Some of these could be locally damaging tornado producers near Hayes and Great Bend in the middle of the afternoon heading into the early evening. Russell, Larned, Ellsworth, Salina, McPherson, Lyons, Hutchinson, and Kansas, late afternoon heading into the early evenings, your risk. Further back down the line, the intense supercells from Wichita to Oklahoma City are most likely. The tornado outbreak that could include long-lived tornadoes. You see those cells progressing eastward quickly through the evening. We could see some longer track tornadoes begin in this area sometime 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, or give or take. and then eventually progress through southeastern Kansas and northeastern Oklahoma. So if you're in those zones, that's what I'm talking about there. That's when your threat's going to be most increased there, and then the rest of the area, damaging winds are going to become, I think, the main concern for the northeast from there as we head through the middle to later part of the evening. Look at that, 9, 10, 11 o'clock central. Extremely damaging winds in this area. Can't stress that enough. Damaging winds. Even if you don't get a tornado, you can get straight line winds that rip off siding of your home, your building, whatever. You can get trees coming down. You can have flying debris. Not safe for roads. Not safe for semi-truck driving either through this region. I mean, there's going to be a wall of very dangerous conditions late Monday all across this area. But yeah, again, I missed Jet, Oklahoma. I've seen that comment multiple times, so we're just going to knock that out of the way real quick. Jet, Oklahoma. New sub says 76244. You're welcome, Melissa Vandervoort. Matt Harris, you're very welcome. Glad to help you guys out today. Yeah, this is that area I was just talking about timing-wise there in northern Oklahoma. I think we've kind of stressed this multiple times in the stream. This area, I don't know if you're going to have training supercells. You might be kind of one and done there, but to your east, especially maybe some redevelopment. I want you to be especially weather aware when the sun, right around when the sun goes down 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. But maybe even thereafter if we can get some of these secondary storms that you see blowing up just to your east of Wichita there. If those develop any 50 miles, 100 miles west, it's a whole different story and an even bigger and more pronounced redevelopment of storms across that region. You're very welcome, everyone. I hope that I've helped everybody out to the best of my ability. 73064. This is going to be one of my last zip codes I take for this update stream today. Yep, same deal as what I was just talking about in northern Oklahoma. If you get any strong storms, which could include a violent long-track tornado, it's going to be around 7, 8, 9 o'clock. Well, excuse me, 5, 6, 7 at the earliest, and then maybe as late as 9 or 10. And then notice how we get a little bit more redevelopment closer to the middle of the night. We'll see what of that could shade to the northeast as well while being severe. Yeah, the winds are nothing to mess around with. I totally agree, Mark Meyer. And you know, it's something I'm really trying to stress. Because, in fact, let me click on this and show you what the Storm Prediction Center's wording is saying one last time before we go here. Listen to this. Negatively tilted trough, that's already a big sign for significant storms. But here's, I want to find the text. Here we go. This is what I was reading, and I was like, man. This is in the, for context, this is in the northern part of the risk zone. You're very welcome, Mark Meyer, Escalin, Chronic. I'll get to these last couple of zip codes momentarily. But again, this is what's really caught my eye. Even in the zones without the highest tornado potential, where it's only, you know, still an isolated tornado threat, nonetheless, further to the northeast through especially Missouri, Nebraska, southern Iowa, large to very large hail, 2 to maybe even 2.5, 3 inches in diameter is possible with the initial cellular development. And listen to this, the Storm Prediction Center is not saying this is possible, in fact, indicating that it is almost a guarantee it's likely. They're just saying it. They're flat out saying it. Transition to severe gusts around 80 miles per hour in the convective line. 80 miles an hour? I mean, that's tornado strength. You don't have to have a tornado in this part of the risk zone up here to be getting tornado-like winds. That's what I want everybody to be, that's what I really want everybody to be watching out for. It's those intense winds. You're so welcome, Mark Meyer. I appreciate that you find this content valuable. I try to interact with as many people as possible. I think that's really one benefit of being a smaller channel, is that even when I've got a lot of comments pouring in like I do right now, I'm kind of able to get to individual people as much as possible, and that's kind of the goal of these streams. I don't want to sit here and just ramble on about my thoughts on the event all along. I can talk about my thoughts on the event while answering questions. It doesn't have to be just a discussion. You're welcome, Daytime Dreaming. Let's see, 76244. You did not miss it in the Fort Worth area. Jeff Hot Hands, my bad for missing you there. I appreciate you bringing that back up to me because I saw your very patient comment a little bit earlier. I appreciate you bearing with me and waiting on me to get around to that. North Texas, you're probably out of the woods tomorrow. I mean, the models are showing a lot of the storm development all remaining to your north. You're in a very cautious marginal risk for our Monday here. You will get a little bit more of a risk Tuesday and again Wednesday there. The threats are going to be interesting Monday, though, because I think most of them are going to be just to your north and again, just because of the potential for the environment to be really destabilized down here. That's why the Storm Prediction Center has the outlooks going this far south, because theoretically, if any storms did develop down here, they could be extremely severe. It's just not extremely likely that we get storms really below this line. Really, the Texas border is going to be where the storms look to not be developing south of. Wichita here, love smaller channels, Sarah says, excited about tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I've got people who are excited about tomorrow, and I've got a lot of people who aren't as excited, but, everybody, no matter what, please stay safe if you're chasing. If you're out on the roadways, make sure you're safe. You're welcome, Jeff Hot Hands. Wherever you are, whether you're in your home or building, the lowest, most interior room, all of that. In fact, let me pull one last graphic up before we go. I know I keep saying that. That's going to be my last zip code I take, though, for now. Let's go to this. I want to pull this up. Storm ready, is this it? Should have gotten this up. Anyway, know the lowest, most interior room of your home or building. I'm not going to search through the National Weather Service website right now. Edmond, Oklahoma, not good. Yeah, if you're in Oklahoma, it's probably not good, is it? Let's see where Edmond is, if I can find it here, just by first look. Edmond, Oklahoma. Yeah, central Oklahoma, not looking great. If anything, you could maybe see an intense storm. And I mean, even this moderate risk goes below where some of the models are showing the worst storms being. If you get storms in any of this zone, though, they're in an extremely prime environment. I showed it at the start of the stream. I encourage you to rewatch when I was doing the forecasting section at the start once this ends. This area down here, man. If you get supercells down here, they're going to ramp on up in an intense manner from the way it looks. So I want everybody down there to be extremely prepared. There's no time to, mess around down there. If you're new to the channel, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button so I can continue to deliver that accurate content in the future to you. This is the most I've ever had on a live stream. I want to clap my hands and thank everybody so much for that. I can't thank y'all enough for all the support on this stream and all the kind words. But yeah, it's going to be mid-evening in this area. A very intense long-track tornado is certainly possible. And again, the Storm Prediction Center may end up putting some pink down right here and expand the moderate a little bit more. Maybe not as much as I just did. You're very welcome, Harvina Britton. Do I think that tomorrow will live up to the risk? Josh says yes, certainly so. That's why I'm doing this stream in the first time. Unfortunately, daytime dreaming. The thing with my channel is, and I'm not afraid to admit it to everyone. Since you asked the question, will I be live for the worst of it? Unfortunately, my schedule is extremely busy. Like if I were live, I really wish I could be live all event long, covering this for you, answering questions. My schedule really doesn't normally allow for me to be live during the event, though. So normally I have to kind of rely on just making some community posts. So if you're subscribed to the channel, you'll see those community posts. They'll pop up in the community tab of the channel when I do them. I kind of rely on those to keep people updated during the storms, but that's why I do these pre-storm streams, because when I do have time to do these streams, because I have time to do these before the storm, I just, I normally only have time like this stream, for example, an hour and a half increment here. I love doing these streams. I love getting them off and answering your questions. And it's kind of why I'm doing them in advance, because I don't have time to normally do stuff during the event, and you can't count on me to do it every time. So I don't do it. But I do the forecasts in advance like this. So hopefully I've kind of brought that to you. And you can always feel free to shoot me a comment afterwards as well, or tomorrow morning if you need an answer for anything. You're welcome, Cindy Click. Thanks so much for subscribing. Thank you, in fact, to all of you who are subscribing. It means the world to me. Any other last-minute questions can be directed to me in the comments section below. I'll get to them by the end of the evening, or at least a few of them anyway. But that's it for this stream at this point. But yeah, hopefully everybody kind of knows what this channel is. We do the pre-storm coverage, break it down, kind of answer zip codes as well. But let's see what Mark Meyer has to say one last time before I go. I use Radar Omega as well, learning all about this stuff. I wish I could just know it all right. You're welcome, Melissa Vandervoort. Thanks so much for being here. How long does it take to learn all the Radar Omega? It depends on what you have. I mean, I have the highest tier subscription, which includes the weather models as well. I don't know like what level of you have, but if you have the desktop access, uh, maybe eventually I would make like some sort of member system on the channel where you could pay like $1.99 or something a month to join the channel, and then I'll give you like access videos to like how to use different platforms and stuff. That would be pretty cool. I think that'd be a cool idea. Um, but yeah, Linda Uselman, I totally. Those are the even though I'm a different channel and I technically am a competitor with the two channels you just mentioned in the chat. Those two channels are excellent channels. They're always live, pretty much all the time during severe weather during the event. So if you want to look for my coverage, I feel like it does a great job ahead of the event, like right now. But during the event, always make sure you've got the notification bell on here so you never miss my updates. If I do post any sort of brief live stream, any brief video for the next day, because that's what I kind of do. While everybody's focusing on live coverage of these Monday storms, I might be posting a video about what's going to happen Wednesday so that people are prepared for that. I'm all about the advanced warning, and I think that's what my channel specializes in. But again, those channels that you just put in the chat, I think those are great ones to watch live if you need instant severe weather coverage, because you can almost normally guarantee that they will be live. Mark Meyer says the membership system would be great. Sounds good. Yeah, if you hit that subscribe button, you'll know if I ever do those. I would normally like set something like that up. I'd say it in the community tab or something. So yeah, pretty much. I would make it like a small cost, and I would love. I don't know if you have the desktop version or what of Radar Omega, but I would love to like make a short video on how to use it. Because trust me, it took me watching like tons of videos to do it. I could make like an ultimate like 10-minute guide or something. But yeah, that's going to be it with the stream, everyone. I appreciate so much all of you who have joined me. And that's going to be it for this. Share this out with family.